everyone for coming today. Unfortunately, we don't have a big agenda, so we'll try and make it worth your while somehow. So the first item on today's agenda is to approve the previous meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 1.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of item number 1, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 1 passes. Item number 2 is to receive and place on file drainage repairs. And today we have no drainage repairs, so we'll move on to item number 3. And item number 3 is to approve and authorize the chair to sign service level agreement with governmentjobs.com, doing business as NeoGov, with execution and service date to be determined.
Mr. Chairman, I will move item number 3.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Do we have some discussion on this item? We ask Amy to come forward and speak to us about this so that the public is aware of what we're doing today.
Hi, I'm Amy Porter, Director of Human Resources for Webster County. And today I'm recommending purchasing services through NeoGov. They market entirely to public sector organizations, so I felt that they would really fit our needs. What NeoGov is well, it's a number of things, but the item I'm particularly interested in is called Insight, and it is an online, completely web-based applicant tracking system where applicants for jobs at Webster County would apply online through Webster County's website. That would attach them to an applicant career portal. Our hiring managers could automate the entire hiring process through this system, and the applicants apply online. They can be screened according to certain qualifications, so they're pre-screened for us. The hiring manager can actually post the job openings on this system. Applicants will see the postings immediately. It's a nice web-based system, so there's no hardware, there's no software, no costly upgrades to worry about. It's completely web-based, and it's on NeoGov's on site. So again, they have a public sector focus, so they really can meet our needs the best of any applicant tracking system out there. There are several cities and counties in Iowa that have started using NeoGov, and it comes very highly recommended. So I think it would be a wonderful tool for our hiring managers and also for the HR department to use. Any questions on the system?
Any comments from the board? Questions from the public? Seeing none, then I'll call for a vote. All in favor of the approval of the NeoGov service level agreement, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 3 passes. Item number 4, to receive and place on file the manure management plan for Strobel Livestock Farms, LLC, finished farm in section 32, Dayton Township, and manure management plan update for Northwest Finisher in section 7, Burnside Township.
Mr. Chairman, I move item 4.
Second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 4 passes. Item number 5 is to approve and authorize the chair to sign a proclamation recognizing Rare Disease Day in Webster County, Iowa on February 28, 2014.
Move item number 5, Mr. Chairman. I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded, and I suppose that before we vote, I should read the proclamation so we are all understanding what we have today. Rare Disease Day. Whereas there are nearly 7,000 diseases and conditions considered rare in the United States according to the National Institutes of Health, whereas while each of these diseases may affect a small number of people, rare diseases as a group affect almost 30 million Americans. Whereas many rare diseases are serious and debilitating conditions that have a significant impact on the lives of those affected. Whereas while more than 450 drugs and biologics have been approved for the treatment of rare diseases, according to the Food and Drug Administration, millions of Americans still have rare diseases for which there is no approved treatment. Whereas individuals and families affected by rare diseases often experience problems such as diagnosis delay, finding a medical expert, and a lack of access to treatment or ancillary services. Whereas while the public is familiar with some rare diseases such as Lou Gehrig's disease and sympathetic to those affected, many patients and families affected by less widely known rare diseases bear a large share of the burden of funding research and raising public awareness to support each search for the treatments. Whereas many residents of Webster County are among those affected by rare diseases, since nearly 1 in 10 Americans have rare diseases. Whereas the National Organization for Rare Disorders is organizing a nationwide observance of Rare Disease Day on February 28, 2014. Whereas thousands of patients and caregivers, medical professionals, researchers, companies developing orphan products to treat people with such rare diseases, and others in the state of Iowa will participate in that observance. Therefore, be it resolved that on February 28, 2014, will be observed as Rare Disease Day in Webster County, Iowa. Stone silence. A lot of whereases. So any comments or seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving the proclamation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Now comes the time when the citizens have their opportunity to address the board with items that are not on the agenda, so I'd ask anyone who cares to come forward and identify themselves and speak their piece. Seeing none, now's the time for Board of Supervisor Committee reports.
I have a question about over the coffee. They read the newspaper about the land use put out in the newspaper with the Board of Supervisors. So where are we standing at of that situation?
The comprehensive land use plan, is that what you're saying?
The land use, what you had a write-up in the Messenger?
Okay.
Yeah, where do we stand at?
Okay, the county has a comprehensive land use plan that was adopted in 2007. It's felt by many parties, supervisors are one of them, that it's time to do an evaluation of the current comprehensive land use plan in Webster County, and that involves public input so that we can see what items may need to be modified or tweaked to the comprehensive land use plan is the foundation document for our zoning ordinances here in Webster County. And we think that with the advancements in development at the Ag Park, that there may need to be some language changes that pertain to that as well as other things. And so we put money into next year's budget so that there's money available to hire professional companies to come in and help with that evaluation of the land use plan. Gentlemen, you can step in and correct anything I've said.
We're not creating a new plan, we're just going through the old one.
Well, then there's a question about also about the property and the surrounding Fort Dodge concerning the gypsum mills, how much of the land that they own for the future mining of it to extract more of the rocks, so forth, and how much is there out there of the land use being pushed to the outside of the area that the mills have. So something has to play in the balance with the gypsum mills of all their mining of gypsum rocks, so forth. So land use, where did it come into play? Outside of them, or try to work something out on the inside of them? Because they're required X number of feet from the road, so forth, housing, what have you, by rules. And people are wondering where we stand at before anybody gets involved with spending out a number of dollars to know which is the better way of going. Because what we have is a bunch of pocket piece of land that's not being used as a tract. So for assets of water, sewer, what have you, for the facility. Well, that's what we got to be concerned about, is take consideration of the land that the mills are, and it would be better to keep that in mind.
Well, I think that's why we're looking to have, you know, professional help in evaluating the comprehensive land use plan, so that we seek out and get the public input that's needed to make sure that changes that are made in what the public does want to have done for Webster County.
Yeah, I think that's correct. It's, first of all, everybody has to understand that it's just a review. That policy is really supposed to be reviewed once a year. We've gone since 2007. So it's time for a review of the policy. And your questions are very good, and that's what we're going to do at public hearings and all of that. It's just a review if something should change, such as the mining areas or different things. And so it'll probably be later this summer, I would guess, on when we'll do that, since it's in next year's budget. So later this summer, make sure that you come to those meetings and express your concerns, because that's what it's for, is to make sure that the plan fits what we need today.
The reason I brought that up is because Sheila Leiser had what I want to call a group, and I also participated in that too, and along with Bob Stark and numerous of the AD and so forth, as well as the mill people. They have meetings with the consultant that come out of Nebraska, Omaha, because they're seeing what's happening to Omaha, going out west now, and it's absorbing a numerous land. And this is what he is concerned about, that can happen. So we can't get ourselves spread out so far. That's like what's happening in Des Moines. It's the same thing. So we now have to take that into consideration, because Sheila was in on that, and she should inform you what the outcome of that consultant out of Nebraska that was here. He spent numerous time here, and it was a very good meeting with all the different business people around the surrounding places here, and they were all involved. So we just gotta be a little more knowledgeable of what we're going to be doing, which is, I agree, we need to expand so forth, but we do need to do it in a more of a good manners.
And just to assure you that Sheila's involved in the process. This whole thing is driven by planning and zoning, and so that, you know, all that this, it's not just a board action here, that these hearings will be all done under the control of planning and zoning.
Yeah, Sheila needs to have you name this consultant that came from there, and he spent numerous hours traveling a long distance and gave a lot of good input. And it sits right there where most of the group has now realized what they're going to be facing down the future. When you talk about better use of the land and not putting good production out, but being more common sense to it. We got to take control of ourselves and be more outgoing and advance in our future for Fort Dodge to expand. Fort Dodge used to be a great small community with a lot of small business. They had different coat tire, they had different things besides the packing house and so forth. But now that all disappeared, we're all getting older. But the young generation we have anymore have gone to college, but they have pursued other states, other areas, which does not pertain anything here for their future. So we've got to grab a hold of some of those younger generations to give us ideas and help us grow. But they need something for themselves as well as we can provide them. So that's where we gotta do a little more research on the community.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else have comments before I move to supervisor committee reports?
I think both of us would have some.
Apparently not.
Land
today?
We had a CBB meeting Friday, Convention and Visitors Bureau. They're talking about, we gave them some money for the cruise to the woods, and we helped them finance that a little bit. They're talking about moving that to Rogers Park instead of Candy Lake because of all the asphalt and stuff. They park their nice cars on that service. I think that'd be a good fit. Had Crime Stoppers Friday, not much going on there. Gave a couple tip, I talked to a couple people, but other than that, was not sure.
So the Dayton City Council meeting this past week, and they had a need for a new defibrillator. I'd like to thank Public Health for assisting them with getting the new defibrillator and the other assistance that we've given them.
Last week I attended the planning session in Ames DOT, and it's key at the moment because they're talking about the 5-year development plan. They spent quite a bit of time discussing what will happen if they experience the quote-unquote financial cliff, which in essence is a shutdown of the federal government's assistance through TLU. And basically what happens is that all activity in Iowa in terms of roads comes to a screeching halt. Probability of that happening at this point, I think, quietly, they would say is remote. But they did spend quite a bit of time on that. Over the next 5 years, there's approximately $50 million of shortfall coming in about 2 years and 4 years out, which ultimately means that they will have to tweak some of the projects somewhat. They, at this point, certainly not talking about which ones they would drop the $50 million from. And finally, Highway 20 completion is on the short list. Realize that there's 33 miles that's unfunded, it remains unfunded, and it's not going to be funded anytime soon unless there's some additional funding that's put into the DOT. So there's nothing really new. In the same breath, it's kind of steady as you go, and hopeful of some movement in terms of additional funding. That's it.
Very nice graphics today, Mr. Singer.
What is it? It's strategically located, so of course I can't see it.
Okay.
Bob, I was down Denison the other day and talked to some of the community down there. They have now, the beef plant they have down there, Tyson has that. I don't know if you're aware of that. They're going to shut that plant down. They'll have 300 people transferred to South Sioux City. Now, talking about Highway 520, we got to get off the duff and get busy with that because most of the truckers will trip the livestock right on 520, go right on into that plant, and it'd be more advantage to the farmers. But if we don't get on it, we're going to lose out on the ball game because most of Nebraska, as well as the Dakota, they're going to get the advantage over Iowa. And we need good roads to get our truckers to get those livestock out that way because where's the nearest next beef plant you have besides Denison? And these guys are going to be out if they don't get trucking to get on 520 and go.
Point's well taken, and in part, things move along when large corporations get involved. And it's a situation, and I will mention it to Shirley Phillips, and in a letter here and there, a visit to the DOT here and there, it does wonders sometimes when it comes from independent business, as opposed to those of us that are there all the time. You gave your points well taken. Wells Blue Bunny was another one that had a trucking company, and for a while, they were reporting to DOT, but that's centered out now as well. But these kinds of things are probably as effective as anything in spurring activity. Thank you.
Yeah, remember, you were not here, but I don't know if they told you that, but Highway 4 and 20, they got a big truck stop going up on that, see, so this is going to be the main heavy route. Like you say, holding that little tag up, 520 now, get it done. I mean, we got to get busy.
Okay, any other items? Seeing none, I'll call for an adjournment.
So